cousins, Raj and Neil. They own the store right next to Walters on what's happening. So if you're from Atlanta, you know about Walters. If you're a big guy from Atlanta, you know about, the store right next door. These guys have always just been good to me. Raj went to India. He came back, brought my wife's incense, these beautiful little elephant characters. He's proud to be Indian. I've learned about being Indian from my Indian friends. When you're truly who you
From my
are,
Indian friends, bro.
how could you be offended? How could you not love it or like it? Like, man, I'm a part of the original people on earth. I'm from the continent that birthed all humanity. I think when you wear that proudly and unapologetically, and not from a place of needing someone to be below you, there's no reason for a people not to like me. I like you. I got plenty of heroes that don't look like me. There's a portrait of John Brown on my wall in my basement. He's a hero. He doesn't have to look like me. You know what I mean? But I refuse to act like people who look like me aren't great. I didn't say good. I didn't say good enough. I didn't say equal. I said great. I'm from a great and mighty people. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I'm not for you. But I believe that because I am simply who I am, I believe that gets accepted. Because you know what? I remember being on the tour bus, and I'm on there with a bunch of Northeasterners because of course, my rap partner's a white guy from Brooklyn. And we're on there and watching Swamp People, and everybody's laughing. And I come up and stagger into the front, and I look at it, and I start smiling, and I look at the room and say, I got more tolerance than any of y'all. And I just walk to the back. Now, because it's the truth. I'm a Southern boy. My grandparents from Alabama and Rural, Georgia. I grew up more like people on those shows. So I think across cultural lines and across racial lines, people identify with me, but just because I'm your typical American guy. You know what I mean? And I have some special things. I'm not going to deny that I'm special. I'm a smart kid, went to Morehouse, had an understanding of some cool stuff. I married a beautiful woman. So I think that people understand that I have the ability not to look past your race or ethnicity, not to look past who you are culturally, but to look at it and love it and learn from it without wanting to co-opt it or be it.
What you're talking about in a very succinct and robust way.
Oh.
All right, bro. I'll be back for a second, all right? I'm going to let this play out, though.
I assume you have two about how to be an ally. What do I have to do? Right. I've had some of these conversations with white people, like really good friends of mine, in the last 2 weeks. Where all right, guys, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but hold on. But that being said, is that what would you say to somebody who wants to not only be an ally but be a good ally?
You want to be a good ally in this moment. White corporation, white person with the means. That's a worthy allyship. On a ground level, if you're just working hard every week, you don't know what to do, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, grab one young man who doesn't look like you, a young woman, and teach them that trade. That's allyship. Allyship isn't just throwing the money, but if you got the big money, put it towards somewhere, but on a very real and basic level. My son had an accident with a man named Keith. I bought my son a car. My son Malik, with a very pretty girl in the front seat, rear-ended this guy. Calls me. I pull up to Keith and the police officer. I say, if he'll allow me to handle this privately, I just don't want to call my insurance company because, I had just got in an accident. I drive truck. My son, Keith, in good faith, gave me the opportunity to do that, and me and this man became friends. I'm literally friends with this white man who told me about Atlanta pre-white flight and desegregation, who's taught me about fatherhood and the importance of presence in your child's life. That doesn't happen if we're not open for it to happen. So an allyship with white people doesn't have to be an organization of saving the world, but you do have to do what me and Keith did. You do have to, on blind faith, trust someone who doesn't look like you and allow that person to educate you. So an allyship is not just calling your black friends saying what I do. It's going to black organizations that might be local and saying what am I doing. It's calling your friend and saying, what's the next thing you're doing, and I want to be an extra set of hands. Doesn't mean you get to go to the black people meeting, but it does mean that they say I'm going to feed people on Skid Row, you show up. and you show up with empathy and care, and you do it. And I'm going to tell you, we need doctors in that space. We need lawyers in that space. We need legislators in that space. We need the people who are really empowered to be in that space, because there's some things that need to happen on ground level that once the grassroots people have gotten it here, there needs to be money put behind these things. A lot of the problems that we have now that are erupting could have been solved in 96, 2006, 2016, and all these other years, but we chose not to because we trusted the right thing's going to happen. Right thing's not going to happen unless we make it. And after that, you have the potential to truly be brothers and sisters. You have the potential to be past the letting cultural, national, religious markers evict the fact that I know that I'm talking and I'm with a human being, and that our very core past any physical difference. My job is to honor the soul of that other human being, so there's no need to have allies because I'm not at war. I truly have a brother and sister. There's no need to have an ally because there's no threat of war. I refuse to send any 18-year-old boy or girl off to die. And that has to be something that's much, much deeper than policy, much, much deeper than the human condition in the last 500 years. We have to get back to that. So that's my humble opinion. I don't know, where that takes white America, but I hope you stay standing up, fighting together.
Mike, we've been having this great conversation, and a lot of people watching, they probably want to know, because, again, these things happen in flashes where 1 minute we're talking about this, everybody's fired up, everybody's willing to do things, and then the next
Sorry guys, I just needed to invite my friend real quick. I'll go back to the thing right now. Where's he at? Oh, I think he needed to let his sister play.
Even another city or places that are doing it right, or that are doing it right in other places, connect with those people. And just, if all of us do a little, no one has to do a lot. If all of us do a little, if all of us pick a little to do, no one will have to do a lot.
That's a word right there. If we all do a little bit, nobody has to do a lot. Nobody has to do a lot. Mike, I have enjoyed this conversation like I enjoy every conversation with you. I can certainly talk to you. Yes, it is mutual. The mutual respect and love of society right here. Thank you, and more importantly, thank you for everything you do on the ground. There's so many people. I mean, I knew that you tell the truth the way it needs to be told, but a lot of people during this time of crisis have been exposed to you and understand that, you really are for the people. This is called We the People. This is you all day long. So thank you for all the work and all the inspiration, all the words, everything that you're adding to this conversation, and more importantly, to this action. With that said, we have to say goodbye, but we don't have to get out of here just yet, because I'm gonna toss this on to my brother, Van Daniel, who can take it from here.
Ooh, yeah.
Jamel and I, we spent the past hour, we've been talking to Killer Mike, we've been talking to Elaine Welteroth. We also got a chance to see that amazing video from Lil Baby. Jamel, what did you get from your conversation with Killer Mike? And more importantly to me, what do you make of this moment that we're in?
The one thing you can always expect from Killer Mike is blunt honesty. I think that's why a lot of people look at him as a really credible voice right now. He's honest about what he knows and honest about what he doesn't know. So I think when you have those elements, that's going to always make for a pretty good conversation. I'm with you. I mean, this moment at the same time is welcome. It's also a little bit surreal in terms of what took us so long to get here, to make sure that every time we have to have a significant conversation about race in this country.
Why do you think it's different this time? Because there have been videos before, and yet people still now act like they're shocked. Help me understand what's different this time from your point of view. What's your theory?
It's two things that I think stood out about the George Floyd video. One, there was no yeah, but. And granted, in my mind, we've seen videos where there was no yeah, but people nevertheless invented a yeah, but. But in this one, there really wasn't one, even if you were Stretch Armstrong trying to stretch and find one, there just wasn't one. What always has just stuck with me is the look on this officer's face as he was kneeling on George Floyd's neck. It was so cold. It was as if this were Thursday. And he showed such little emotion, remorse, any emotion you want to name. He didn't show any
Dang.
The street with bystanders looking on. So I think that situation, coupled with the fact we had already been reeling from Ahmaud Arbery, we had already been reeling from Breonna Taylor, and even though the situation wasn't fatal, there was definitely a storm of frustration at what happened with Christian Cooper. So this all together leads us to this moment where finally, even the most adamant naysayers who wanted to pretend as if this wasn't a structural problem, what could they say? I mean, there was nothing else that could be said, and I think everybody who was already fed up decided now is the moment, now is the time. The world has slowed down because of COVID-19. If we are going to address this,
Hey, Jay.
this needs to happen now.
I've never seen 20, 30 million white people asking black people for leadership. That's interesting because they start going, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Google is a powerful tool. I don't know. I'm realizing now, though, that this is an honest question. How do you think that we as African Americans and our allies can rise to meet a moment like this? Accept the fact that we may actually have a couple million new allies, and how do we deal with that? That's new for us.
I'm glad you used the word leadership because there's a difference between us being put in a leadership position and us being put in an educational position.
All right, guys,
the educational part, we are long past, right? Like we don't want better, but leadership is something different, and it looks different. Accustomed to being